everyone, my name is Shana Eaton and we're back with episode 2 of Gardening Fun. This episode I want to talk to you guys about how to plant annuals. So this is generally stuff that only has one season of its life cycle. Some biannuals, which will have 2 seasons until they produce seed, are also be considered part of this group. So what we're talking about here is a lot of the vegetables that you want to grow and a lot of the flowers that you want to grow. So I'm going to start off with kind of giving you examples of things that are pretty easy growers at home. We're going to start off with some flowers. So sunflowers are obviously an easy choice, as are zinnias. There's all different types of zinnias. These Benary's giant mix are supposed to be good for powdery mildew, which is something that zinnias can get if you have too much moisture in a season. And they're too close together without a lot of airspace. It's something that kind of affects plants in this area. They generally survive, but it's just something I kind of try to look for when I'm looking at seeds. Cosmos are another one that are a big hit. These I've ordered from Select Seeds. I'll give you some examples of places to order from. A lot of these common ones you can get at a garden center, or you could get at Home Depot or Lowe's as well. Globe Amaranth, I try to get ones that grow for more height for cutting flowers. So you can certainly get Globe Amaranth as starter plants at the garden center. It's just, they're not going to be the tall ones that you could cut to put in a flower arrangement. This is calendula, which I think is lovely. Pot marigold is another name for it. These come in all types of flowers. These are great ones to get in early season, and then they'll get another kind of flush of flowers in the fall. This one has a really cool seed to it too. So this is one of the fun things to do with kids, is show them the different types of seeds. All of these flowers have very different seed types. This is also something that is kind of in traditional traditional wives' tales, old time medicine. This was used in a lot of like tinctures, and you can make good things for your skin out of it. Apparently, I've never actually tried. This is an Oklahoma mix. These are small marigolds. They smell quite lovely. They put out a nice big bush of flowers in your garden. I like planting these in a vegetable garden, kind of in between. And then another option is cellulosa, which I think, quite frankly, is a little weird looking. They look like brains. Same with coxcomb, but the kids kind of like them. They're really soft to touch. And so they're interesting and fun to grow with kids. So those are some of the flowers you might want to look at. We're going to plant this in a minute, this wild garden mix of lettuce blends. Basil is a great herb to just go to sow direct into the garden. You'll get a lot quickly with this. I'm showing you cucumber. I honestly have not had great luck with cucumber for the same reason as the powdery mildew that we talked about with the zinnias. Cucumbers tend to be affected by those. This one that I bought specifically because it was supposed to survive powdery mildew well. We'll see how it does this year. Arugula, kale, all these kind of leafy greens are good ones. Chard is a great one to grow. It's lovely in the garden. I actually use it in pots sometimes for kind of the central feature of the pot too, just because they're lovely colors. This one I think is super cool. It's a lettuce. It's called outrageous. This is the type of lettuce that was grown on the International Space Station. So I got this one to grow with my kids to talk about kind of growing vegetables in space and what the challenges would be for doing that. And then pole beans are another great one to start from seed. This is a purple. It's called the Triano Violetto bean. They're super cool. I grew them in a trellis last year at our house. And then when you cook them, they go green. So that's kind of fun for the kids. I'm putting the scarlet runner bean in. I have grown these for a number of years on a teepee that the kids can then kind of crawl with inside the teepee. To be honest, I've never actually eaten them, but my kids love picking the seeds. I don't know if you can see them. They're really pretty and very kind of tactile. They've loved picking those out of the seed pods in the past. And you can make like little musical instruments. I think these are tasty to eat, actually. And those are something that Thomas Jefferson grew. I feel like a lot of times when you hear about vegetables, particularly in this area, Thomas Jefferson's garden is one that you hear a lot about. Things that you might want to look at for ideas. I'm going to show you Florette Farm's Cut Flower Garden book. This book is amazing and lovely, and you'll covet like everything that's in it. Keep in mind she's growing in Washington State in very mild conditions. It's interesting. She has to grow her tomatoes in a hoop house to get them warm enough, but then they have pretty mild weather. So some of what she's growing will like not do as well here, but it's great for ideas. I think she just came out with another book within the last month too. So something to look at. The dahlias look lovely. You kind of covet. Here's some other resources that I really like. Brent and Becky's Bulbs is great. They're based in Southern Virginia. So this is, you'd want to order your bulbs in here to plant in the fall, like your tulips or something that'd be fall planted. Daffodils are also something that's fall planted. Southern Exposure Seed Exchange is also based in Virginia. I really like ordering from them. These have really kind of cool stories about a lot of the different plants. And so that's what's fun about ordering heirloom seeds. You get to find out some of the history behind them. The same with Seed Savers Exchange. I've ordered a couple of things from them as well. And they have like really interesting stories about, there's like a mortgage buster tomato in here about tomato seeds that have been saved over generations. I think that's one of the cool things about gardening is just the history that's in it, and kind of the stories of the different people who've done it. This is another Organic Valley. Peaceful Valley. Their Grow Organic is their website. This is one that I really like, as well as, and they have good kind of equipment as well. If you're interested, and then Select Seeds is another one. They're out of Maine. I got a lot of flowers from them this year. Botanical Interest you might recognize. This is one that you can get a lot of. You get a lot of the garden centers. They have the pretty drawings on the packages. And then Johnny's, this is kind of more for commercial. They have bigger sizes. And Swan Island Dahlias is kind of the big dahlia purveyor, but you can see the beautiful dahlia picture. So those are some of the resources to use. We're going to go now and plant some seeds in the garden and just show you basics of how it's done. We're going to do a strip of lettuce. So let's put our gloves on and walk over to the vegetable garden. All right, so now we're back in the vegetable garden. I'm going to show you, before you do anything in a vegetable garden, the key thing is you need to prep the soil. And part of it, I'm going to show you why. Do you see this kind of orangey color? That's clay. That's what most of the soil in this area and the DC area is, if you don't have any kind of amendments to it. Nothing really grows in clay. The key thing that you want with soil is something that's going to retain water, but not retain too much water. That's going to have air in it, not too much air, not too much sand. So what you can do is buy compost. Leaf Grow is a good one that's actually manufactured in Montgomery County. You can get it at Home Depot. You can get it at most of the garden centers. If you're looking to grow vegetables, there's also some, I'll call it, I guess, fancier compost that has fish like bones and whatnot in it. It's got kind of like a mix of different things, animal manure, that kind of stuff. I would suggest talking to the garden center about what kind of compost you want. Right now, I know Merrifield Garden Center, which is a fantastic garden center. It's a little more pricey. They're still open. They're also doing curbside delivery. American Plant, which is in Maryland, is also doing curbside delivery. Meadows Farms is another one in this area that's doing curbside delivery, and they're doing drop-off of mulch and dirt. So that's something that you might want to consider as well. You can get a compost drop-off too for your garden. So what you want to do is you want to mix that into the soil. This stuff is pretty much already mixed in. I was kind of showing you that to show you just what the soil looks like. You can see how this is kind of much more air. It's holding some moisture into it as well. So this soil is kind of worked up. You want to try to get the rocks out of it. This is a great job to do with the kids. They love digging for it. My daughter found like a penny from 1942, so that was fun. We had a little treasure hunt too. Now what I'm going to show you is how to plant your seedlings. Now, something to keep in mind when planting seedlings is that the last frost date for this area is generally considered April 15th. I was always traditionally kind of grew up in the Midwest with the last frost date being Mother's Day. I still try not to put like tomatoes and peppers in until after Mother's Day. A number of the lettuces, there's kind of crops that you can put in that are cool weather crops. You can put those in before April 15th. So those crops are things like kale. You can put your lettuces, you can put your arugula, you can put your chard in early. This kale actually overwintered in our garden, as did the garlic. So those things are okay to go ahead and put in now. And beets are another great one to put into it. Beets growing right there. There's a thing called succession planting, where you want to do a row of crops and then maybe 2 weeks later do another row of the same thing, so you have production for kind of continual amount of time. So that's what I've got, a couple rows of beets growing. So first things first, you want to get your seeds. You want to do a row in the dirt where you want your seeds to be. Now you want to read on your seed packet what the directions are for your specific seed. There's some that don't want to be covered that deeply. They need to have light in order to germinate or to produce seeds. This one we're just going to do kind of a little narrow trench. I'm going to take the seeds out, and this may seem, so this is kind of a wild garden lettuce mix. So I'm going to sprinkle those throughout this row like this and complete the row. And you'll notice there's a lot of these seeds in particular. Small carrot seeds are tiny. That's a great one to put in now too. Often you mix those seeds with sand because they're just so tiny. And then what you want to do here, and actually I'm going to keep these gloves off because we're going to do the next step, is then you're going to cover this. I cover this very, very gently with a little bit of dirt. I've been trying to plant on days before it's supposed to rain. If it's not going to rain, you're going to want to water this after you've put this in. Now, after a week or two, what's going to happen is you'll get these seeds putting up. They'll start to germinate. So this is the exact same seed from 2 weeks ago. Now, in order to help the seed grow, what you have to do is called thinning the seeds out. So you can do this a couple of ways. You can just pull the seedlings up. So the goal is you're trying to leave space. So say I've taken a couple of these. These are microgreens, so you could really decorate your dinner tonight if you wanted to. But the goal is to pull these seeds, to pull some of the seedlings up to create space between the seedlings. My mom used to always hate doing this, and I always told her that I would have flourished and grown if I was an only child. This is like making the seeds only children so they can grow. They have more space. She never bought that either. So I'm kind of just pulling indiscriminately. Like, you're gonna have to do this a couple times while these are growing. Like, these are a little more spaced apart. So you can see these have some space. So you're gonna continue to do this through the row so you kind of get this. Then in a week or two, you're probably gonna have to do it again. They're a little more difficult to pull out and not disrupt other seeds once they get bigger. So you could just use your nail at that point to just kind of cut them down, or a little pair of scissors if you wanted to. So that's kind of the first few steps of gardening. Once you have them thinned out enough, then they'll grow and flourish. And then you can pick, particularly these wild blends. You don't have to cut. You're not going to have a whole head to cut. You can just kind of trim, and they'll continue to grow. One other thing I didn't tell you, when we plant the seeds, I learned this from one of the seed catalogs. One thing that you can do, and a lot of you probably have sand boxes at your house, is just sprinkle sand right where you've planted the seed. It doesn't last for forever, obviously, but it gives you time until the seed comes up to kind of know where you've put something in your garden. So that's a good starting point for seeds. For vegetables, if you're planting flowers, another step after you've thinned, maybe once or twice, is when the plant gets to be about 4 or 5 inches tall, you're going to take the plant and you're going to essentially pinch it down in the middle. Now you can do this with your zinnias, your cosmos, a lot of your flowers, your marigolds, your calendula. That allows it to put out more branches, so you'll produce more flowers. It seems really cruel and mean to do it when the plants are so little, but it actually helps them flourish and grow. So one other thing, this is planting with seeds, but I want to show you, I think dahlias are super awesome flower to plant. You get some great flowers. They're great in bouquets. You want to check for ones that are good in heat. So I ordered these from a farm in Ohio, Sunny Meadows Farm. Dahlias come as tubers. So when you think of a tuber, right, you think of a potato. This is one that's growing in the bag right there. You'll put that in the ground and there's an eye on it, and that will send its sprout up. So these are great ones when you're looking at planting. You often have to put a tomato cage around them to kind of stake them up, but it's something to consider as well. Home Depot has them. Thomas Edison is a dark purple one that's kind of a big one to grow around here. So a word about planting different flowers and different vegetables. We talked about powdery mildew. You can end up with little tiny bugs, all of them that are called aphids. This is something that you can spray off fairly easily. There's a number of organic bug killers to deal with issues that might come up as you're growing these vegetables. Some of the ones that I did not show you in seed are peppers, tomatoes and zucchini, I find that generally you need to get starts for those. So you can either buy seeds and try to grow them in your house. If you want to try to start seeds in your house, you're a little too late to do that this year. That also is not a process where you simply buy some seeds and like chuck them in a container and you're done. You generally need grow lights and heat mats, those kind of things, to get an even consistent seed. I think you're much better to just go get seed starts from a garden center at this point. A number of them, depending on how you feel about going out, are still open or doing curbside delivery. So definitely your tomatoes, peppers. With zucchinis, I have had a hard time getting those to grow due to something called squash borers that get into the zucchini plant early in its life, and then they kind of eat it from the inside. So there's certain things in certain environments where like I don't have much luck with them, but certainly other people do. So it's just trial and error, which is some of the fun and excitement of gardening. All right, looking forward to talking to you about perennials in the next episode.